All right, let's pull back the curtain on a piece of tech that, honestly, you probably use every single day without even realizing it. We're talking about React. It's the engine behind so many apps we know and love, from Instagram to Netflix, and its story is pretty fascinating.
I mean, really think about it. You're scrolling your feed, new posts are loading, notifications are popping up in the corner, likes are happening in real time, stories are playing. It's a constant flurry of activity. So, how on earth does it not just grind to a halt? Well, the answer lies in solving a huge complexity problem that was pretty much starting to break the web.
And like a lot of brilliant inventions, this one wasn't cooked up in some lab with a grand vision. Nope. It was born out of pure necessity, a way to fix a growing, massive headache inside one of the biggest tech companies on the planet.
So, let's set the scene. We're going to hop in a time machine and go all the way back to 2011. Facebook is absolutely massive, but they're facing this giant challenge with their most important feature, the newsfeed. See, the way websites were traditionally built just wasn't cutting it anymore. Every single time something happened, a friend commented, someone liked a photo, you got a new message. The code to update what you saw on the screen became this tangled, chaotic mess. It was slow, it was full of bugs, and for the developers, it was an absolute nightmare to manage. They knew they were hitting a wall. They needed a totally new way to think about it.
And this is where the big idea, the light bulb moment, really happened. The engineers at Facebook stopped thinking of a web page as one giant single thing. Instead, they started seeing it as a collection of, individual, self-contained pieces.
They gave these pieces a name, components. So a like button, that's a component. A comment box, that's a component too. Your profile picture and name at the top of the page, you guessed it, another component. Each one is its own tiny independent program. It knows how to show itself, and it knows how to manage its own business. They're just like digital Lego blocks that you can snap together to build, anything you can imagine.
Now, don't worry about the code itself. The big idea here is what matters. This is basically just a recipe for a video Lego block. And you can see right in there, it's made up of even smaller blocks like a thumbnail and a like button. This whole approach makes everything modular, easy to reuse, and just so much easier to understand and manage.
Okay, so the whole Lego block idea is brilliant, right? But how do you make them all work together super efficiently? That's where two key bits of technology come into play. This is the real magic that makes the whole system fly.
So first up is this thing called JSX. All you really need to know is that it lets developers design their little Lego blocks using code that looks and feels a whole lot like the HTML that builds web pages. The design and the logic live together. It just makes building those components feel incredibly intuitive and natural.
And the second piece of magic is something called the virtual DOM. It's all about speed. You see, back in the old days, if one tiny thing changed on a page, like the number of likes went up by one, the browser would often have to redraw huge parts of the screen. It was like having to rebuild an entire house just because you wanted to change the color of one single brick. Crazy inefficient. React is so much smarter about this. It keeps a lightweight copy, a virtual blueprint of the UI, in its memory. When a like comes in, it creates a new blueprint, compares it to the old one, and instantly figures out the absolute smallest possible change. Then, and only then, does it tell the real browser, hey, just change that one little number. That's it. This whole process is what makes React apps feel so incredibly fast and snappy. Now, here's where the story gets really interesting. This idea of building things with components was so good, so powerful, that it couldn't be kept just on websites. It was ready to break out. So, it all started quietly on the news feed in 2011. But by 2013, Facebook decided to open source it, basically giving it away to the world. Then, in 2015, came the next huge leap, React Native. And things just kept evolving. By 2019, an innovation called hooks made building these components even simpler and more elegant. And React Native? Oh, it was a total game changer. All of a sudden, developers could use the exact same Lego block thinking, and often a lot of the same code, to build apps for the web, for iPhones and for Android phones. And these weren't just websites pretending to be apps. They were real, truly native mobile apps that felt fast and fluid.
And the result of all this, the adoption has been just incredible. Today, React is so much more than a library. It's a massive global community. Get this, 2 million developers visit its official documentation every single month. That's a movement.
So when you put it all together, what's the big deal? Why did this really change everything? Well, the key thing to get is that React wasn't just a slightly better tool. It was a completely new way of thinking.
It completely shifted how we build software, from thinking about static pages to composing things out of dynamic components. And crucially, it made code declarative. That's a fancy word, but the idea is simple. Instead of giving the computer a long list of step-by-step commands on how to change the screen, developers just describe what the screen should look like. That's it. React handles all the messy how behind the scenes. The simplicity is what created this massive ecosystem and allowed the idea to spread to every platform you can think of.
So really, the big idea here wasn't just a clever library of code. It was a fundamental shift in perspective. It gave us a sane, organized, and scalable way to build the incredibly complex digital world we live in today. The Lego block metaphor won, and it has defined a whole decade of software development.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. This huge revolutionary idea was born just to solve one nagging problem inside Facebook. It's a great reminder that the next big thing, the next idea that changes everything, might just be hiding in plain sight right now, just waiting for the right problem to solve. Thanks for tuning in.